Hi, Wes Hansen, President and CEO of Thunder Gold Corp. Back again to tell you more about our exciting drill results, summarizing our Phase 2 drill campaign at our cornerstone Tower Mountain property located 50 kilometers west of Thunder Bay, Ontario. And this time we're going to look at the results from the 3738 target in greater detail. Again, as a refresher, you may have seen some of the other videos. The pink and purple tones here basically represent the Tower Mountain intrusive complex. That is a multi-phase intrusive complex. Some of those phases carry gold. I think some of those phases redistribute gold in the host rocks surrounding the intrusive complex, which is where you're seeing the majority of the historical drilling. Historically, all of the drilling has focused on this western contact of the Tower Mountain intrusive complex. We believe that has successfully defined a conceptual exploration target of between 40 to 80 million tons, averaging somewhere between 0.8 and 1.2 gram per ton gold. So a very compelling exploration target. We believe that the remaining perimeter of the Tower Mountain intrusive complex offers opportunity for additional discovery. We've already demonstrated that potential at the H target with this Phase 2 drill program, at the P target with this Phase 2 program, as well as the preceding drill programs. And we've also demonstrated or delivered on our promise to basically take a look at significant gaps in the drill coverage along the western margin. And those gaps that were tested in this Phase 2 drill program were at the A target, which is the subject of a separate video, and this video, which is focused on the 3738 zone. So 3738 was discovered. We have a zone up here that's known as the Ellen zone. This cluster of high-grade results here is the bench drilling and the what we call the bench target. The 3738 in 2023, we decided to drill a fence of holes on 100-meter spacings across the gap to see what the gap had to offer between the Ellen and the bench targets. And the two holes of interest in that particular drill program was this was done in 2023, and I'm just going to turn on the drill hole labels so we can follow along easier at home. The two holes of most interest were 137 and 138, 23-137 and 23-138. Now 137 had a huge piece of visible gold in one interval. It averaged, returned an assay of 963 grams over 1.5 meters. Very, very interesting. But, you know, we chose to disclose that with a capped grade because outlier values like 900 grams per ton are very uncommon at Tower Mountain. So we processed that a little bit, and we used we assumed an average of 30 grams per ton for that particular interval. But nonetheless, hole 137 had a 41-meter interval averaging about 1.7 grams per ton, and a second interval down hole that was significantly larger, about 87 meters at 0.65 grams per ton. So a very well mineralized hole. 100 meters to the north, we drilled hole 138, and basically from where you see my cursor moving right now down to this particular area, that returned an interval of 160.5 meters that averaged 0.67 grams per ton. So very interested to see what was up. If again, when we talk about drilling gaps, what I'm talking about is this is a block model. This is a plan view of this particular elevation. This is at the elevation of 325 meters from surface, so about 125 meters below the topographic surface. You can see this cluster of orange and predominantly orange blocks centered around the hole, the intercept in hole 138. And you can see this cluster of pink blocks, which of course are being driven by that 963 gram assay, or 30 gram assay, if you'd rather. Again, a 50-meter radius surrounding that particular hole. Hole 136, there's a few high grades scattered in that hole, down that hole, but you have another seam in that area. So when we were designing our Phase 2 drill program, We put in 4 holes with that program, 178, which was a step forward of 100 meters ahead of hole 137, so we can get a view in this gap, and you can actually see the results right now. I'm going to clip everything so we can see it, but we intersected a significant portion of mineralization in hole 178 in that area, and hole 180, which is in the middle, sits in here. And just to refresh everybody's memory relative to the press release, here's the press release numbers. 178 to 103.5 meters at 1.25 grams per ton. That included a 24 meter interval of 2.54, a very impressive interval, and very close to the end of the hole, less than 40 meters from the bottom of that particular hole. And 180, which is that hole, it's in between 137 and 138. Basically what you see is about 120 meters split in 2 zones, 40 meters at 0.92 and 80 meters at 0.73. So very, very, very solid results, and also of interest, this hole 180 ended in mineralization. The last 16 and a half meters of that hole averaged 1.87 grams per ton. So very, very, very nice results. Those are kind of the stars of our phase 2 drill program for sure. And the reason why is each one of these 2 holes likely added somewhere between 75 to 125,000 of new resource potential, conceptual resource potential, so that I don't get in trouble with the regulators. But you know, those, you can see these very clearly in the gap. There's a white space there everywhere where there's a block. Basically, gray blocks are less than 0.1 grams a ton. Blue blocks are 0.1 to 0.3. Green blocks are 0.3 to 0.5. Orange blocks are 0.5 and all the way up to a gram. Red blocks are a gram to 5 grams, and then the pink blocks are 5 grams plus. So we very successfully added a significant amount of mineralization in that gap. And let's take a look at it on a sectional view, just to give you a full detail. So this is going to be hole 137 and hole 178. We're going to look to the north, so straight up the page in the direction my cursor is moving currently. And we can zoom in here and take a look at different things. So first and foremost, I'm going to just turn off. I had some scratches on here as I was preparing for the video. I'll turn those off. Here's hole 178, and again you see that 103 meter interval at 1.25 grams a ton. Very, very good. And this high grade core of it down here, you can see the original discovery hole 137. This is the 960 gram assay, which we capped at 30, so that's a 41 meter interval at 1.7 grams per ton, and a lower interval in hole 137, basically 86 meters at 0.64 grams per ton down here. And you can see again hole 178 in a black space or white space, however you want to term it. So we've got a significant add in this area. And looking forward, you know, we don't know, doing our interpretation, and this is where our phase 3 program will assist us. We don't know whether or not the mineralization in hole 178 connects to this high grade zone in hole 137 here, giving us a relatively flat lying target that we would target with follow-up drilling, or does it line up with the lower zone in hole 137 and come up at a much more, you know, kind of a 50-60 degree slope. Either one is fine. Either one's going to add significant number of ounces. We've just got to figure out what the answer is, and to do so, we basically target the seam in the gap again, because a 50 meter projection probably doesn't make it all the way over to this drill hole. So adding a hole there, adding a second hole there will give us enough coverage that hopefully we're able to interpret the continuity, like which direction this high grade core is trending. And then we're able to go in and follow it up with additional holes. So that's the story, and just another comparative, you know, chart for you to consider when you're looking at this. Again, you're seeing the same kind of 50%, like 1 of every 2 meters averages 0.1 grams per ton or better in all of the 6 holes or 7 holes. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes. My mistake. 136. If we flip back to the plan view of this, and turn off our clipping, and then zoom back in. So 136 is here. So kind of going in order: 136, 137, 178, 181, 180, 138, 179. So that's that's 300-meter stretch of drill holes. And if we come back and look at the individual results on a hole-by-hole basis, they're plotted in the same order. So 136, 137, 138 is the next section, 180, 181 is the next section, and 138, 179 is the next. And you can see that there's just a lot of mineralized material in these holes. And tracking it down and following it from hole to hole and section to section is going to generate a lot of resource ounces. We figure that, based on our conceptual exploration model for each of these holes, each one adds somewhere between 75 to 100,000 ounces. Each one, except for hole 136, adds between 75 and 100,000 ounces of conceptual resource potential. That's based on a 50-meter projection distance around each intercept. So, we're kind of looking at around 100,000 ounces of conceptual resource per drill hole. And that what that equates to is we've got a less than a $1 per ounce discovery cost in this particular target, which is why we drilled it in the first place. It was cheap, it was immediately accessible to us, it was easy to access, and it offered great resource growth potential. And that's the entire story at Tower Mountain. This is a great project, folks. We've got a number of targets that we hope to drill in the not too distant future. We're focused on this contact zone around the Tower Mountain Intrusive Complex. We believe that offers significant opportunity. We filled in gaps in the coverage in the Western program successfully, but more importantly, we demonstrated potential at the H target on the Northern contact and the P target on the Eastern contact. Great results at both of those. I urge you to watch the other videos in this series and learn more about this very exciting exploration opportunity that has all of its infrastructure built. We have a tremendous benefit over our peer group. We're immediately beside a paved road highway, the Trans-Canada Highway. We're less than 50 kilometers from Thunder Bay, a city with a population of 110,000 people. Our drill costs are under $250 a meter on average. There's a lot to love about this project, not the least of which there's a lot of gold here. So thanks again, and hopefully this answered some of your questions. And if not, we'll be back with more videos in the future. Have a nice day.